All right. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're staying positive and happy and healthy during this crazy time and during this stay at home and self-quarantine. I'm at home right now in Colorado, as you can see, with Red Rocks in the background. This would be my first podcast. I'm not sure really what to call it because it was originally going to be called the Living Color Podcast, and then, I became aware of the fact that there was already a show called In Living Color. And I'm really not sure what to call it, and, still kind of rolling with the Living Color Podcast, but, I'm just kind of happy to have a podcast or anything really in general right now, so, I'm just trying to stay focused and stay positive, I guess, during this crazy time, this self-quarantine. It's something that we've never seen before. I've certainly never seen anything like it, obviously, being 26, about to be 27 in 2 months. It's, I was even looking forward to working at Red Rocks here and coming up next month and less than a month away, and that's obviously long gone and gone into who knows when, probably June, July, if we're lucky, I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't anything this year, to be honest with you. There's no cure for it right now. They're really they're just telling you to stay at home and wash your hands and, Lysol and sanitize everything. But I don't know. I just don't know what the solution is, and I'd hate to be the one to make the solution or come up with a solution, I'd like to be the one who make the solution, but I wouldn't want to be the one to try to come up with it right now. And it's a scary time for everybody, I think. And I think you feel that with just when you drive around and go to the grocery store, you can obviously see it with the empty shelves. And if you go to the cold and flu section, you'll look around, the shelves are so empty that you can't even tell what was in the shelves to begin with, unless you look up at the aisle marker. And I don't even know what to make of this, because a month ago you'd hardly heard about it. I mean, you might have heard about it on Twitter or something through a search, or coming up and you might have saw it trending in China a month ago or something. And now all of a sudden, a month later, it's everything is shut down, and it's for the foreseeable future, I think. I don't know how businesses are gonna recover. I don't know how restaurants are gonna recover. I'm trying to support all the local restaurants I possibly can, but at the same point, you gotta realize you need every dollar that you can get at this point, and you can save at this point. And it's a tough time for everyone. I'm fortunate to have another job that's full-time and have some income coming in, and even without the Red Rocks job as a part-time camera operator, so I'm fortunate with that. But even still, I have my own worries and my own concerns about everything. I was even looking forward, obviously, to Red Rocks coming back. Just having that extra bit of money coming in every 2 weeks is huge, Work a couple shows, and it's a lot of money. That adds up every 2 weeks, so just to have that not coming in for me, I can't even imagine, let alone the people who are relying on that as their permanent and full-time and their main source of income. I can't even imagine. And even just looking up at Red Rocks up there now, I don't know if you can see, looks like the sun's going down below the mountains, but it's eerie to see it now. There's no one up there. The parking lots are empty, the trails are empty, and obviously even throughout the winter, it's usually packed. It's busy every day. So it's something that I haven't seen, and I've only been out in Colorado for it's about to be a year almost to the in about a month or so it'd be a full year, and it's crazy to just see how much things have changed. And if you had told me, this would have happened a year out from moving away from everything I've known and my family and, my friends, but to, if you had told me this would have happened, would I have still made the move? I think I would have, because Red Rocks last year was an incredible experience, working all those shows with so many great artists, but this is obviously something that no one could have ever seen coming, and no one did see coming, and no one was prepared for. And I think it shows, our government wasn't prepared, clearly, and, I think some of the stimulus is to make up for their lack of preparedness. This $1,200, direct payment to the U.S. citizens. I think that has to deal with their lack of preparedness, really. But, I think it's a tough time for everyone, and I think I think it's easy to say, stick together, but I think that's the key, obviously, is you gotta stick together with everyone, and you gotta support everyone no matter what. And it's time to time to put differences aside almost, and support everyone and support whoever you can. But obviously you gotta support yourself first no matter what. So I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're healthy, and trying to be positive and stay positive. I know I am, but I know it's obviously tough every day, but it's definitely easier, I'd say, with a view like that, for sure. I don't know if you can still see Red Rocks out there, but yeah, it's a wild, wild time. And I've been waiting to start this podcast for months, if not years now. I went to school for broadcast media, and mass media is my major. I went to school at Castleton University in Vermont, a small college in Castleton, Vermont. Shout out to all you Castleton graduates out there. And that's what I wanted to do, was be a on-air personality, be like an anchor for a show. But I never was. There's like a certain mold I feel like you gotta fit into to be an anchor and be cut out for that. And I certainly was, and I think I quickly realized that, like my freshman year of college. I was like, man, I don't know if I could do this, just being assigned to try to interview people and like officials at the college, or directors or professors. And it's like, I don't know if this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to almost just do my own thing, like talk about what I want and do what I want. But I didn't know a way, and there wasn't really an outlet for it. And besides, really, I think one of the main outlets was like with sports and sports media, because you can really see it with like guys like Stuart Scott, rest in peace, and all the Sports Center anchors, really, they all have like their certain catchphrases, and like Chris Berman especially, he could go all the way, certain things like that. They really inject like their own personality into it, and I think it's you can sort of do it through news, but it's obviously tough because you're reporting on horrible stories more than half the time. And yeah, so I was just like, I quickly realized that I'm not cut out to be an on-air anchor for like a newscast. So I quickly got into production, and wanted to get into directing more. And so eventually, after years of kind of going through it and working at news stations as like in production, and a sports media company in production, Northeast Sports Network, and then also making music as WDY, making electronic music, which stands for Woody, as my last name is Woodward, obviously. And it's making music as WDY. I think with all that, those years of experience, all that culminated into the Red Rocks job. And so once I applied for that last year and got the position, it was huge for me. And I kind of just applied for it on a whim. I wasn't even sure if I was really gonna get it, to be honest with you. I was just kind of like, I have experience in video production, and I have experience in concerts, obviously performing as WDY, and opening for so many different artists throughout the years, from starting in 2011 and all the way till I'm still making music even to this day, obviously, and putting out albums and trying to play shows. But yeah, all that experience just led up to me applying for the Red Rocks position and, ultimately getting it. And, that's what I kind of had to. I was living at home with my parents after, I graduated in 2016. So yeah, 3 years living at home with my parents after college. And I was like, man, it's coming up on 3 years. And I was like, I'm about to be, 26, living at home. And it's like, what, I need to make a change. And when I applied for that position, and they were like, yeah, we have 2 sessions for an interview. We'd like to have you interview for, one of the positions. I've made the leap. I made the jump last March. Like, pretty much almost a year since I've been out here. I think I got out here, it was like late April. And I started Red Rocks on May 1st, and yeah, so I had just only been there for a year, and now it's done for however long. And yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's an end in sight to all this, really. And I don't know what the solution is. And I just wish that our leaders, I guess took it more seriously and acted more seriously. It just seems kind of like a clown show at this point. It's not even at this point. It was a clown show years ago, but just more than ever, But at the same time, I don't. Just who knows? How can you explain this to anybody? It's tough. It's tough for everybody, but I think there's certain ways that you can look at it too. You gotta look at this like, yeah, we're down right now, but how can you bounce back? What are the ways you can improve yourself and improve what you're doing? And is right now, I guess you could look at it like, is what you're doing actually what you want to be doing? And for me, this is even like my first podcast. You've already seen it. Like, we've cut out once already, and I'm gonna have troubles in the beginning, and this is just the beginning. And I hope this is the first of however many hundreds. I hope, but you're gonna have problems no matter what you're trying to do, no matter what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that it's important to just stay focused and kind of maintain, and no matter what happens. So those are kind of my thoughts for it. But I also kind of wanted to share a quick story, if I could, about working at Red Rocks. And one of the better times and more memorable moments, something I will never forget the rest of my life. And it kind of came at a weird time for me, because I had only been working there for 2 months, 2.5 months. I had only been out in Colorado for 2.5 months. I didn't know anybody, and like I said, I was working at Red Rocks part-time as a camera operator, working the shows. And so I had to get a second job at the golf course, working course maintenance at a Fossil Trace in Golden, which is not far from here, in Golden, Colorado, and which is a great golf course. I have nothing bad to say about the course or the people there or anything like that. But it was just obviously not my crowd. It was a lot older people working there, and I wasn't making any friends and meeting any people, and just kind of keeping to myself and working there in the mornings and from 5 to 1:30, and coming home, and then working at Red Rocks sometimes at night, every other night pretty much. And I just wasn't really meeting anybody, and I was kind of getting, I was down at points, obviously, because you're like, I thought it'd be easier to make friends and, it was easier back home, obviously, when you know people and you're getting introduced to people, and that's how it's easy to make friends that way. But when you're in a new place, you're like, where am I at? I don't, you're just kind of discovering new things and putting yourself out of your comfort zone, which is important, obviously. And so I was 2 months on the job at Red Rocks, and I was just working one of these shows. I think it was NACO and Medicine for the People in Trevor Hall. And I think it was a weekend show. It had to have been. And it was kind of like I was just in grind it mode where I'm just doing a show. It's just another show for me. And I think I started the night, there's like 4 camera positions at Red Rocks, for those that know. And I was on, there's like 2 in the front near the stage and 2 in what they call like the not like the pit area, but where like the sound engineers are, the audio boards are, the light crew, all that. And there's 2 camera positions there too, and we also have like a control room in the back where like the directors are and all that, and the shader it's another position. And so I was on one of the cameras there, and it's also like a VIP section, which is kind of like right in front of where like the audio mixers and the audio engineers are and the light crew is. There's like a little VIP section, like 8 rows or so. And next to the VIP section, there's like 2 camera positions, and I was on one of those positions to start. And or I was on, I believe I was actually on front of the stage camera position to start. And then for the second opener, I believe it was Trevor Hall, and I was one of the camera positions near like the VIP section. And I was just, obviously in the zone, going already in my shift. And I believe it was at this point where I just had gotten to the camera, because I usually, between sets, there's usually like 30 minutes for like a changeover between acts where like the crew comes on, they switch the band's equipment. And during this time, I switch camera positions because we usually rotate with the crew. And I was going to my different camera position at this point. It was already like a couple minutes had passed, and there was like a little stool right next to my camera. And so I just was chilling on my stool, and I just saw like a kind of like a group of people walk in, like towards like the VIP section. I kind of knew that the set was starting soon, that the next band set was starting soon, Trevor Hall's. And I was kind of like, I just saw like the crowd kind of come in. I was like, oh, what's happening? And then I saw this guy in the gray sweatshirt with a hat, and obviously, instantly, I recognized him. And it was Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. And I'm from Vermont, okay? You don't just see Aaron Rodgers every day, okay? You don't see anybody like that any day. So I instantly recognized him after, obviously haven't watched him for years on TV, playing football, obviously, for the Packers, dominating the NFL. And, I was kind of like, holy shit. I was kind of like, I kind of like jumped, I was like super reactive to it. I was like, I couldn't believe it, and all of a sudden I saw Danica Patrick, who was kind of right behind him. And then, it kind of hit me. I was like, that's right. They're a couple, Danica and Aaron. I was like, that's right. Aaron Rodgers and Danica Patrick. My mind, it was mind blowing for me. And I just kind of was like, I was kind of like nervous myself, because they're from me to, 5 feet, not even 5 feet away. And they just sat down, right where the seats would be. It's not actual like seating like this, it's just like kind of like benches, like rows of benches. If you've been to Red Rocks, like you obviously know. So I was just kind of like nervous for like the first minute or so, and then all of a sudden like there was like a little kid, and I kind of just stopped and was I was gonna try to like maybe like sneak like a photo or something, share it on social media. And like a little kid kind of came up to me because I think he noticed too, and he was like, "Hey, can you try to get his autograph for me?" And I kind of was like, "No," I was like, "No, man, I don't think he wants to be bothered, and I'm not like the one to bother." Okay, like I'm from Vermont. I don't know anything about. I wouldn't even know how to be like, "Hey, Aaron, can you So this isn't my time. This isn't my place, kid. And so like, obviously I'm just kind of stunned, but it kind of wears off just because the show starts minutes later, the Trevor Hall show. And I eventually met him, but one of the reasons or the moments that I knew that I could like go up and talk to him after a Trevor Hall set was there was like a moment during the show where like there was this phone that was kind of a few rows in front of the VIP section, and it was this guy FaceTiming his friend like a moment or like during like a song during the show during the Trevor Hall set. And you could just tell like his friend was like bopping his head. He was kind of loving it. I just happened to notice it because it was right in front of me. I'm like facing, and it was kind of like right off to the side here. And I just kind of like zoomed in my camera and zoomed in on the screen. And the director eventually took the shot on the big screen so the whole crowd could see 10,000 people. It was a sold out show. And I think once the crowd realized what was happening, they started going wild. They started like erupting like loving it. And I was starting laughing, and all of a sudden like the guy kind of noticed that he was on the screen, and he started like kind of jumping up and down like being like, "Oh, we're on the screen," like going wild. So I was I'm trying to keep up with him. Like the director takes this different camera, and I look down because Aaron's like 5 feet from me down here just chilling. And he's like looking up, and he like gives me like a thumbs up, and he's like laughing like, hell yeah, And I was just like, I just kind of like the only thing I was just like, I think that's what I did. I can't remember what I did. It was something dumb, obviously. But I was just kind of like, like that's every day. I do this. This is what I do. This is what I do. Yeah, it was just. I was just kind of like, holy shit, Aaron Rodgers was like, just gave me like the thumbs up for doing that. And so, the Trevor Hall set, obviously, the show goes on. And so at the end of the set, like the whole crew or posse there, like Aaron kind of like gets up and goes off to the side. And I think he's like waiting for Danica and the rest of the squad to, catch up, and he's just kind of chilling off to the side, and the set's over, so I have nowhere to go. I have to go to my next camera position. And so I notice Aaron's just by himself. He's just by himself. He's just standing there. I think he's just waiting for the rest of the crew to catch up. And so I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm not going to say hello to him or like just shake his hand or just anything. And it seems crazy now to think to be like, I'm shaking Aaron Rodgers' hand. But I had no choice. There was no option. There really was no option. I had to do it. And I just shook his hand. I was like, dude, I just went up to him, shook his hand. I was like, dude, you're a legend. Like, that's all I could think to say. I was just like, you're a legend. You're great. Blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, thanks, man. I was like, it's nice. It's great to meet you. And like, I appreciate you giving me a thumbs up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, obviously did the fanboy thing, though. And I didn't know if it was right. It felt right because he kind of received me well. He was like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, can I get a picture with you, man? And then he was just like, no, I'm about to go to the bathroom, and, maybe after. So I was like, okay, that's all right, Sounds good to me, maybe, but sounds good to me. And so I just do my own thing, keep going, and, go to my next camera position. And I think I eventually, I eventually saw, I think on my way to my next camera position, I went to like in the control room, and from there, yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was, either way, I remember I ran into him at, like, in the tunnel at one point, because there's like the famous Red Rocks tunnel, or like outside of the tunnel, like at the bottom of it. Because those, if you've seen it before, it goes up like into where the control room is, and where the, where like the engine, audio engineers and all that is. And the VIP section, it leads to that. And so he was sort of at like the entrance to it. And the security there wouldn't let him up. I think he had like a drink or something. Like, he was like, maybe like a beverage or something, adult beverage, some sort of thing. Excuse me. And he had some sort of drink, and they apparently wouldn't let him up. And there was only like a few of them. I think maybe, it was like maybe like 5 or 6 of them. And I think they each had drinks, and the security lady, she just wouldn't let him up. And I was like, you know that's Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, just because he has a drink, you're not gonna let him up. And he's like, I kind of like, it was just kind of like another like bonding instance, I guess, where he was like, oh, I don't know what he thought, but I think it was just kind of like, I was like, man, I was trying to help him, I guess, in any way that I could, if I ever would, or if I ever, whatever the saying would be, if I ever could, I guess. I was trying to help him get up to the tunnel, I guess. I don't know why, just for having a drink, but either way. So from there, I don't think I saw him like the rest of the night until towards the end, where during like the Nacko and the Medicine for the People set, which was like the headliner, I was in the shader position, which is in the control room at Red Rocks, which is like next to the director. And it's just like you have like a couple little, like kind of like, it's like you're just balancing the brightness of the cameras. It's like you have a few like different like control pads and control knobs in front of you. And I think they're like Black Magics or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but you have like a couple different little switchers to work with to control like the brightness of the cameras, and I was on the switcher position, and so once the set ended, I was like, man, it's such a bummer that I didn't get a picture with Aaron, but maybe people will believe me, that I shook his hand and told him that he's a legend and all that, and to leave the VIP section, you obviously have to go back down through past the control room, and then out down towards the, down the tunnel, and then out towards wherever, towards like backstage area and all the rooms, the green rooms. And so, I was leaving the control room, and I just saw the huge, crowd of people leaving the VIP area. And then all of a sudden I saw Danica. She was like the third or fourth person. And then she was like, the train's coming through or something like that. And I was just like, that was like the first time she had seen that I was saying hi to Aaron before, when I was like telling him he's a legend earlier in the night and shaking his hand. But, that was like the first time I had talked to her, and I really got, the impression that she is intense. And it's crazy that was my impression, and her podcast is called Pretty Intense, I believe. But I thought that she was super cool and super nice, and yeah, that's really all. She was just like, yeah, the train's coming through. And I was like, that's all good, I didn't really see Aaron, and then he was kind of like one of the last people in the whole crew to come through the doorway, and all of a sudden he came through and he was like, hey man, did we get that picture yet? And I was like, nah, but it's all good. And he was like, no, let's get a couple real quick. And I was kind of like, well, okay. I was like, all right, stunned. And I think I don't know if I asked Danica. I don't believe I did, but it was somebody in that crew, because she was kind of like, what's going on? a photo? And, I was like, hey, can you take the picture? And then Aaron was like, no, man, get a selfie. And I never take selfies. I don't know if I've ever taken a selfie before. And I was just I was like, oh, okay. And I just snapped a couple. And, kept going. Like, I was trying to, as quickly as possible. And it turned out tremendous. And then, from there, I was just like, once again, all the accolades. You're a legend. I will never forget the throw against Detroit or the throw against Chicago in the playoffs or to get to the play. All these all these memorable moments. And the one against Detroit or in the Cowboys in the playoffs. On these, just I won't either. But the impression that I got from him is that he is incredibly cool, incredibly nice, incredibly friendly. It's something that you would never expect from someone at his level. And, it really taught me that he really is like a normal person. But he's a, tremendous talent, obviously. So it kind of gave me hope that, the saying where it's you're not supposed to meet your heroes or, people you look up to, but, maybe you are. And, even I've had some instances playing shows as WDY where, I met people where they haven't always, said, not to say that you're supposed to say hello to your openers really or anything like that, but they haven't even, looked my way when they walked by my dressing room or anything like that, so to see that kind of, I guess respect and kindness, coming from someone from that walk of life was incredible. And it made my day, 'cause especially in the time that I was at too, just thinking about it, just being, just not knowing anybody and not really having any, new friends out here to talk to or hang with or, and even still, I still have trouble, meeting friends and meeting new people. It's not easy. I don't think it's easy for anyone. And especially now, in this time, but, you just gotta, keep going and keep being positive and, I think there's certain ways that we could take advantage of this time, I think this is a certain time, I listen to Joey Diaz, who's a comedian, a hilarious comedian, one of the best around, best on the planet, one of the best, and, he even was saying, this is a time to, do what, invest in yourself and, do what you always wanted to do and write down your goals and, refocus yourself. And I think that's super important. That's a super important message, and that's exactly what you should be doing in this time if you're healthy. And, it's easy to worry about, how people are doing that you're not around right now or, who are living far away from where you might be. But at the same time, you do have to be look, man, I can't do this. I can't worry every second, every day about it, I need to, at a certain point, I need to get my own things together. So that's what I think I'm going to try to do during this time. And that's what I've been trying to do the past couple days. But I think even just starting this first podcast is huge, because this is exactly what I've been trying to do for years. And to finally have it in the books, and it's big. I'm trying to do so many things with this podcast. I'm trying to talk about, entertainment, sports, culture, music, what's happening in the world. This isn't really how I wanted to start my first podcast, or the time that I wanted to start my first podcast, but at the same time, it's now or never. And I think it was easy for me, and it's probably easy for you out there and for many others to just fall in the funk where you're like, I'll do it next week. I'll get it started eventually. And, I need certain things to get it started. I need lights. I need certain, you don't need any of that. You just you need certain things. You need like the essentials. You need the basics. And you just need the will and like the desire and the creativity and, the inspiration. You need all of it. You need all of it to do it. And it was big to try to, to get this started. And, I don't really, there's no guidelines for it. I'm gonna swear, I'm gonna say stuff off the top of my head. I'm just gonna try to be funny. It's not always gonna work out. I'm gonna say how I feel. And that's kind of the whole point of the podcast. I'm just trying to finally do what I want to do. And, right now it's not about gaining anything. It's really just about doing what I've always wanted to do and finally getting it started. I think you can talk about it, but I think you gotta be, eventually you gotta do it. And, it's about time that I finally dove in and jumped into the murky waters, as Joey would say, Joey Diaz. So, yeah, man, I would love to talk about sports and all that, but, I don't even know when anything like that is coming back. You can see Red Rocks in the background. This is where I'm living right now, and like this is what I moved out here for. And now it's nothing. There's nothing happening, and it's gonna be like this, I think, for months. I hate to say it, but I really do. And like I've said numerous times already, I don't know what the solution is, and I hate to be the one to, people look to come up with a solution. It's a wild time. And when I listen to like First Take and all that on ESPN, and they're like, can the NBA regular season come back? It's like, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think any sports are coming back this year. I don't know if any concerts are coming back. This might be a time where you just shut everything down. I mean, everything's shut down now, but you might just shut it down for the year. It's like maybe September, July, August, September, and then you just like, again, you just hear Trump say that his goal is Easter. And you're like, Easter? Like, dude, that's not even close, man. You like Easter. If anything, it's going to be worse by Easter, man. But at the same time, you gotta, I think we all realize, like, restaurants and businesses and everything can't be shut down forever. But health is way more important, obviously. Health is everything. And then you just hear people like that lieutenant governor in Texas where he's saying that, who knows, whatever he was saying. Old folks are willing to die for the economy, or, paraphrasing, obviously, but something to that effect. And you're just like, I don't know. Things do need to start back up, but not for the next, month. Already we're looking at May. Easy. Like May, I'm not even obviously a health expert. I'm just a random local joker, as I'd say. So, but yeah, man, I just wanted to start the first podcast, and you know, like I said, there's no guidelines to this. There's no parameters. I'm not. This is just me sitting here on my deck in Colorado, you know, talking about what I want to talk about, and you know, doing what I want to do finally. And you know, I hope that you enjoy it. I hope you know, stay positive, and I hope that I can sort of give you some sort of entertainment, you know, because I have stories obviously for years, you know, and that's what I'm gonna eventually get to. But I just think, you know, right now it's like it was time for me to start this and just say hello and check in on everyone and see how everyone is doing, and that's sort of it, man. That's it, and that's that. You know, I hope you're doing well. I hope you stay positive. I hope you take advantage of this time off and this self-quarantine, this stay at home. I hope you use it to your full advantage, and I hope that you can, you know, do what you want to do, because I certainly am trying to. And, you know, you can like it, and you don't have to like it. But this is just me. This is just what I've wanted to do for a long time. And, you know, obviously, like I keep saying, this setup is not the setup that I want right now, but this is pretty dang good as it is. I mean, look at this. You can't really beat this view, but, you know, I like to enjoy it, and I hope we can all sort of, you know, stay inside and self-quarantine and, you know, get back to, I don't know if we'll ever get back to normal, but I think this is going to be the new normal, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, when we get back, you know, just, we're going to be better. We're going to be better off for it, you know. The people who survive, and we're all going to, hopefully, if you're listening, hopefully, you know, we're going to get through this, and we're going to get better, and we're going to be better for it, you know. We're going to get through something that, you know, no one's ever really gone through. You've seen something like this, you know. Not since 1919, the Spanish flu, you know. 1920, like, this is unprecedented times, so I hope that, you know, you take care of yourself, and I hope that you're doing well, and I hope you're happy and positive and looking after everyone. Thank you for listening, and take care of yourself. Until next time, sign off.
Don't stop.